So in the last video, I covered how to fit in at networking events and how to leave a good impression. Basically that everyone there who like you talked to is thinking, wow, that guy was like so good to talk to. You leave a good impression. That's probably like your aim of this networking event. I basically covered a strategy which you can do to leave this best impression. There's basically 3 steps that you need to do. It's like the strategy to leave the best impression. And the first step of that relies on basically going to people who are on their own and talking to people on their own. However, I didn't cover what to do when you need to, like how to network with groups, how to join a conversation that's already ongoing with like 3, 4, 5 people. How do you join that well and still leave a good impression? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If you haven't already, I'd recommend watching the previous video just because what I'm going to mention to do with groups in this video, it's related to a lot of the stuff I said in the last video. So if you want to do that, you can click in the card in the top right hand corner right now. But without further ado, let me get into this video on how to enter a group and leave a good impression when you have to suddenly join a group midway through a networking event. With these groups, they're already going to be in a conversation. Okay, so there could be 3, 4, 5 of them already in a group doing a conversation, discussing some sort of thing. If you join too suddenly or obviously, suddenly that conversation is going to stop and they're going to try and include you. Okay, so it's actually them, they're trying to be nice, they're going to include you, and they're going to literally sacrifice their own conversation. That's what it is. They're having a good conversation. You suddenly join the circle. One of them will turn and be like, oh, hi, what's your name? And then ask the questions that they asked earlier. So like literally like 10 minutes ago, when this existing group got together, it would have been like 3 of them. They came up and they were like, oh, what's your name? What's your name? And, oh, okay, so what were you doing? What you do? They did all the introductions. Then they got into a conversation. Okay, they're mid-conversation. You come in. They are literally going to sacrifice their conversation and go back to asking you introduction questions. So one guy could literally be talking about like the project he's on, and suddenly they're just going to stop and be like, oh, what's your name? What company do you work for? Whole flow of the conversation lost, right? And it basically means they're going to sort of not like you. Okay? Especially the guy who was like mid-story or whatever, or maybe like people who had things to add. They were literally like, were about to say something. They're going to actually not like you. Okay, like subconsciously, there's a part of them which doesn't like you because you selfishly came into our group and interrupted our conversation. Okay, that's not going to leave a good impression, right? If that happens, okay? So there's 2 ways to get around this. Number 1, the best way is if you join the group without them noticing. Okay, you have to, I want people to listen, I want you right now to like get the nuance behind this, okay? When I say enter the group without noticing, that doesn't mean start eavesdropping and being a creep, okay? That doesn't mean like joining the group and like peering in, like pretending you're not looking and like leaning in or something. No, physically, you completely join the group, so you're like standing there, like, yeah, okay? You're standing there, you're joining the group. Physically do that. Don't start like having some weird body language, like trying to like seem nonchalant, right? Or like trying to like seem inconspicuous or something, putting sunglasses on, newspaper, and like trying to stand there trying to eavesdrop and like edging your way in. No, walk in, join the group, okay? And basically, don't say anything, and basically just hope they don't like notice you. Hope, like, you have to hope that they're in such a good flow of conversation that no one introduces you, okay? Then, once you're in this group and you're standing there, you need to pick up the conversation as quickly as possible, okay? So they're gonna be in the middle of, this guy's gonna be in the middle of talking about this one random project or something, or this one random thing that he just saw. You need to pick it up as quickly as possible. At the start, you're not gonna have a clue what they're talking about. They're gonna be talking about some random thing. You literally need to be standing there, listening. You need to be analysing every single thing, being like, what they're talking about, what they're talking about, what they're talking about. Once you get what they're talking about, you need to ask a question. It's exact same as before. When I said go up to individual people, you need to ask them questions to enjoy so they have a good time. Exact same as this. People love talking about themselves. They love that. If you ask them a question, more opportunity for them to talk about themselves. So listen to what they're talking about. Once you get a gauge, oh, they're talking about this. Okay, what sort of question can I ask? Maybe he's talking about a project. Be like, could you say, oh, what was the hardest part of that project then? Or like, have you done any other projects? Or like, oh, you're talking about this part of the project. Have you done that before? Like, or just some sort of question that will basically let them talk about themselves. But this is even more powerful in a group. This is like OP in a group, because all of a sudden, people are going to look at you like, where's this guy come from? How does he know what's going on? But it's in a good way. Okay, it's not like, who's this guy interrupting our conversation? No, it's going to be like, Who's this guy? Where did he come from? And how's he suddenly integrated in the conversation? Because you've just asked a really good question, which is going to allow one of the people there to talk more about themselves, and you weren't even there at the start of the conversation. Like, people are sort of thinking, how does he know what's going on? I literally saw him turn up 10 seconds ago, and he's like, is he psychic or something? Right? When you ask that question, you're going to find like people looking at you, and they're sort of like respecting you. They're like, okay, that was kind of cool, right? And this is all like unconscious. No one's gonna like come here and say, oh, that guy was really cool because he joined our group without us noticing, and then he asked a question and integrated. So I'm like, this is all subconscious stuff. It's not like explicit stuff, right? You ask a question, they're gonna be looking at you like, okay, fair enough. That guy's kind of cool. Like, he just joined our conversation. Like, smooth. That's what it is. It's smooth. That's the best way to join a group, is just be smooth about it. And then you don't even have to introduce yourself. Like, you introducing yourself, you kind of don't even want to do, because it just disrupts everyone else. It's talking about yourself. Whenever you can, just imagine like when you talk about yourself, you have to hold like a ball. Or like a microphone. Why don't you use a microphone? That makes some more sense. Imagine every time you talk, you have to use a microphone. You want everyone else to have the microphone as much as possible. Because when you have the microphone, you're saying, yeah, this is my name, I work for this company, I'm doing this, whatever. Everyone's like slowly disliking you and losing respect because it's not them talking about themselves. It's like every time someone doesn't talk about themselves, it's like their like respect for you meter goes down. When they get to talk about themselves, they like you more because you ask them a question, they get to talk about themselves. So that's the best case scenario, you do that. However, what happens if you come into the group and someone just does like stop the conversation and say, oh, hi, what's your name? How do you deal with that? Because if that happens, right? What you do is you answer the question, oh, I'm Owen, and then you straight away say, oh, what were you guys talking about? Or like, oh, I just heard how you did this. What were you saying about that again? Literally just try and reinitiate the conversation. Don't say, oh, I'm Owen, and then da-da-da-da and all this random stuff. And like, or don't just say your answer, okay? If they say, oh, what's your name, where do you work? Oh, I'm Owen and I work in this. And then stop, because they're going to ask you another question. And then another question. If you just keep answering their questions, they're going to ask more and more and more. And as I said, they're going to start liking you less because they don't get to talk about themselves. Right? So what you do is you say, oh, hi, my name's Owen. What were you guys talking about again? I heard something about engineering. What did you say about that? Or like, I heard something about drainage. One of you in the drainage team. Straight away, it basically means it's gone to you for a second, but you've straight away bounced it back, so it's not a problem. Okay, so that is how you join a group who are mid-conversation in the middle of a networking event, and you still manage to leave a good impression. They're still thinking, oh, that guy's really good to talk to. I really like that guy. Because hopefully when you're networking event, you want to leave a good impression, and the people you talk to, they like remember you highly afterwards. That's how you can do it. I hope this video has helped. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.